Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 9 on Fargo CW.
Tonight, Florida is weathering a direct strike from Hurricane Irma. About 3 million homes and businesses in the state are without power, but the damage is far from over. That storm was nearly 400 miles wide when it reached the Florida Keys this morning, and it is expected to slowly crawl up the state's west coast. There's been major street flooding in many cities as homes with roof damages and downed power lines and standing water have also been reported. And while many have evacuated, the safety of those that stayed behind is now on the minds of millions around the country. Reporter Don Champion is in Tampa with the story.
Winds over 100 miles per hour are ripping through Florida. Hurricane Irma is also bringing sheets of rain, tornadoes, and a dangerous storm surge.
The storm surge will rush in and it could kill you.
Irma was a Category 4 storm when it reached the Florida Keys on Sunday morning. It weakened as it made a second landfall at Marco Island in the afternoon. But officials say it remains an extremely powerful and life-threatening storm.
It's a mandatory evacuation. It's not optional. As I've said, though, we are not going around arresting people, and we're not going door to door. If you want to make a bad decision that puts your safety at risk and potentially puts you at peril, then you're going to make that choice.
The center of the storm is creeping north along Florida's west coast. Miami was spared a direct hit, but the city was still pounded by rain and a 5-foot storm surge. Damage is widespread, including a pair of construction cranes that collapsed in the wind. Tampa is feeling the effects of Irma's powerful winds, rain, and storm surge. The city is vulnerable to flooding, and people were told to seek higher ground.
If you haven't gone to a shelter, the time to do so is now.
Millions of Floridians are without power, and millions more could lose it. Residents are being warned that it may take weeks before electricity is restored.
Unfortunately, Irma is expected to remain at hurricane force into Monday. Coming up after weather, everyone has turned their attention to Hurricane Irma, but a group in Park Rapids, Minnesota is focusing on those still recovering from Hurricane Harvey. We share what they're doing coming up after weather.
All right, let's take a look at where Hurricane Irma is right now. It's about 60 miles off to the south of the Tampa area. We are seeing the heaviest rain in that location right now. The good news is, as you make your way into southern Florida, they're seeing the winds, but the worst of the rain is well to the north. Now, the strongest band is up here near the Orlando area right now and stretching well off the coast. We are seeing tornado warnings with this one right now, especially where you're seeing the strongest bands, and also we have a lot of these are flash flood warnings. Let's take a look at the watch warnings. We have a hurricane warning for the entire state of Florida, with the exception of the Panhandle, and tropical storm warnings stretch into Georgia and into South Carolina. There's also high wind warnings for this one. It will continue to move up into the Midwest as we go into the next couple of days. It'll probably get into this area out here, into portions of Kentucky and Indiana, and then move off to the East Coast. But Hurricane Irma right now, winds of 105 miles per hour just off to the south of the Tampa area. Here's a look at what we've got for today. We had mainly sunny skies out there. Temperatures getting into the mid to upper 80s across the area, so well above normal for this time of year. Temperatures right now mild. 77 right now in Fargo, lower 70s into Lakes Country, 73 Valley City, 68 Jamestown, lower 70s into Devil's Lake and Lanes. And everybody getting a nice southerly flow. It was breezy today, and that is keeping the temperatures up. Now, we are seeing mainly dry conditions, just a few passing sprinkles as you make your way into Lemoore County, and that's basically it. We have more clouds into the Devil's Lake Basin. That is ahead of this dry cold front that will make its way through as we go through the overnight period. It will flip the wind back to the north. We're going to see plenty of sunshine as we go through the day tomorrow. Temperatures a little cooler compared to today, but most of us, again, getting above that 80-degree mark, so it's still well above normal for this time of year. Into the Fargo area, into the mid-80s, we have plenty of sunshine, but with that northerly wind, and the wind speeds tomorrow will be nowhere near where they were today. We're going to be into the upper 70s. You make your way into Lakes Country, mid-70s, Valley Valley City and Langdon, upper 70s from Jamestown up toward Devil's Lake. And we're going to keep the sunshine as we go through the day on Tuesday, and that wind does flip back around to the south. Tuesday will be our warmest day with high temperatures close to the 90-degree mark into the Southern Valley. We'll be into the mid to upper 80s elsewhere. 88 for the day on Wednesday. Increasing clouds, and then we have a chance of some showers and thunderstorms Thursday. Temperatures falling, a high of 80, 72 on Friday, 64 on Saturday, with another low moving through that will give us a lot of rain, and then 65 for the day on Sunday. Back to fall-type weather, where we still have a slight chance of some showers.
Thanks so much, Justin. Officials began evacuating residents in the area that will be hardest hit by Irma last week. But while many left Florida, some are planning on heading there to help with disaster relief efforts, including a Fargo man who hopes to provide comfort for those affected. Valley News Team's Molly Casey has our story.
It's hard to really understand what these folks are going through.
Mike Clevenger has volunteered locally for the Red Cross for years, but now he's taking his talents to South Florida.
I was a medic in the Air Force, and when I served in Vietnam, and I was an EMT.
Clevenger was originally assigned to help with disaster relief in Texas, but when Irma became a major threat, the Red Cross booked him a one-way ticket to the Sunshine State.
Nobody knows for sure when I'll be coming back. The estimated time of deployment is 2 weeks.
The Red Cross gave Clevenger this list of items to bring along. Things like gloves, rain gear, and water bottles, because there is no guarantee those items will be available when he gets to Florida. But Clevenger says he's not worried about his comfort or safety.
I'm more concerned about the well-being of those people that's being affected, especially the elderly and some of the vets and that type of a thing.
He is worried about his flight on Monday morning being canceled or delayed. But he says even that won't stop him from getting to Florida and helping out.
I'm actually looking forward to getting down there and lending a hand.
From Fargo, Molly Casey, Valley News Live.
Clevenger says there are many opportunities to volunteer with the Red Cross in the Fargo-Moorhead area and encourages others to sign up as disaster relief volunteers. A number of emergency responders from our area are helping people in the face of Hurricane Irma. 5 ambulance vehicles from Ringdahl EMS out of Fergus Falls have been in Tampa, Florida since Thursday. Crews have been working with officials in Florida to help people evacuate from their homes and get to them to safety. Bjorn Ringdahl says they are holding in place until the storm passes. Afterward, they will once again go out and provide assistance where they can. 13 people from Fergus Falls and Pelican Rapids, Minnesota, and Jamestown and Lisbon, North Dakota, made the trek down to help the people dealing with this natural disaster. And of course, if you'd like to help the people dealing with Hurricane Irma, there is a link attached to this story on our website, valleynewslive.com. And while people are now turning their attention to Florida, a group of people in Park Rapids, Minnesota have set their eyes on Texas. We told you about them last week. 218 to Texas is raising money so they can send water down to Victoria, Texas, one of the hardest hit areas by Hurricane Harvey. The group met today to talk about what goals they want to accomplish and how they are going to go about doing that. Their goal is to get 33,000 bottles of water to Victoria, Texas, a city that's still recovering after Harvey.
We're just everyday, ordinary Americans who want to do something. You know, there's the Red Cross, and there's FEMA, and then there's the government, and you don't want to get in the way of all those honorable intents. But there's got to be more that we can do. And you sit up here so comfortable when everyone else is suffering. We're like, let's do something. We're going to do something. We're going to send water. That's not a lot, but it's something.
218 to Texas is working with a group called Convoy of Hope. That group is responding to several areas impacted by the hurricanes. If you want to help out 218 to Texas, you can find a link to their information in this story over on valleynewslive.com. A head-on crash caused by a drunk driver going the wrong way on the interstate sent 2 people to the hospital. 67-year-old Gerald Hill of Fargo was arrested for DUI and will also face a felony reckless endangerment charge. The crash happened on I-29 just 2 miles south of Buxton yesterday afternoon. Hill was driving south on I-29 when he crossed the median and ran into a vehicle heading north. Hill and the 29-year-old female driver of the other vehicle were both taken to Altru Hospital in Grand Forks to be treated for their injuries. A woman is dead after a vehicle crashed into the ATV she was on in Rolette County, North Dakota. It happened Saturday night near a ditch on County Road 43 near St. John. Authorities say 18-year-old Tatum Eller of St. John and an 18-year-old man were riding an ATV that was hooked up to be towed by another ATV driven by another man. And before they could take off, a vehicle driven by 56-year-old Kevin Boret of Minot crashed into both ATVs. Eller was pronounced dead at the scene. The other men on the ATVs, as well as Boret and his female passenger in his vehicle, are expected to be okay. An apartment complex was damaged after a fire broke out on the deck of one of the units. Fire crews got the call around 5 today at a building located in the 4900 block of 47th Street South in Fargo. A number of people had to leave the complex for a time as firefighters put out the blaze. Officials say most of the damage was on the outside of the building, and there was some smoke damage inside that unit. Thankfully, no injuries have been reported, and we're still waiting word on what caused the fire. Firefighters also dealt with the blaze believed to have started on the deck of a home early Sunday morning. Fire crews responded to 4679 San Juan Drive South in Fargo. A neighbor and one of the people inside the house tried to extinguish the fire before responders got on scene. And whenever crews arrived, the deck was fully engulfed in flames and the fire was glowing to the outside of the home. Investigators say a propane gas grill was involved in the fire and was releasing propane. Firefighters were able to quickly put out that fire, and everyone inside the home was able to make it out, and no injuries were reported. Still ahead tonight, a story about a missing California woman who has family in North Dakota.